All right. My name is Hayden. I help traders, especially beginners, achieve freedom through investing in the stock market. In this video, I wanted to talk about support and resistance. It's in every single chart pattern that you see and is a fundamental aspect of where price action is going to head. All right, let's get right to it. I have some ideas that you may not have heard before, or if you're a beginner, you definitely haven't heard before. So support and resistance is just another word for supply and demand, which is a fundamental economic theory where, let's draw it out. So let's say we have a chart going something like this. If this would work properly, come on, I'll try refreshing. My apologies for any sort of sickness you may hear through the microphone. So we have our price action going something along these lines here. And so what we have at the bottom is our supply zone. We can draw a line. You've probably seen it drawn as a line, or what I like to do is draw it as a zone. It's this zone where people view the price point to be a good deal and want to buy it. So that's our zone down there. That would be our buy zone. If the price action entered that zone, we'd consider to buy it because we know it's going to bounce there because it has before. The top will be our the top will be our supply zone, and the bottom will be where people demand it. So the top being the ceiling or the resistance, and the bottom being the support. So yeah, as you can see, a lot of the times the price will be bouncing in between. If it breaks above, my apologies, if it breaks above the resistance, it's likely to hold above that point. It's likely to continue bouncing out of that resistance, which is now the support, and our line or our zone can continue onwards. This is so fundamental. It's basically just buyers down here. All these buyers, these are actual people making orders. It's important to keep in mind the psychology behind all of these theories. It's not just a line on a computer screen where the price may bounce at, but there's people buying the stock or the asset down at this level, and there's people selling it at this level. Boom, 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 boom. So when it breaks through, now there's people buying it where the older people were selling it. So that's your basic kind of setup. That's your basic horizontal pattern with a breakout. Um, let's refresh and see if we can get a fresh page here. Perfect. So next we'll look at an ascending channel. It looks something like this. Boom, 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 boom. Super classic ascending pattern going on here. You're going to have these support and resistances going across like this. As you can see, the stock will be bouncing between them and breaking through and forming new supports, breaking through resistance, which will be the new support. What's really cool about this is if you see price action coming up to this overall ceiling that it's struggled to get past before, and that it's just super hard. Maybe you think this is a good spot to short it in this case, meaning you'd make money if the price action went down. Here's the thing, and here's something I use honestly every day, and that would be that the price action is building these supports along the way. So for me to take a position and to hopefully make money as this thing goes down, there's so many different levels that people have established that they want this stock at that it's going to be hard to break through. And that, honestly, you should write that down. Seriously, I use that every freaking day. However, on the contrary, if your price action spikes up super fast, there hasn't been any levels at which buyers have wanted to buy it at. There hasn't been any support levels for which this thing, if it continued to head downwards would get hung up at. Let's redraw this. So I think you understand what I'm saying. If the price is aggressively pushing up, then it's way more likely to bounce off of support and not get hung up at support levels. That's something that has been choppy. You want this nice clean price action. All right. Pattern number 3. Let's do it. So we're going to do something like, yeah, let's do a breakout. This would be like a classic wedge pattern. You'd see your price action going like this and getting smaller, 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 tighter. The supply and demand is getting, there's like this huge tug of war going on between it. And eventually you're going to see volume break out to either side of this wedge. Now, sometimes people say that because, so people say, and this goes against my experience, this goes against what I've experienced in the market, that the price action will break out toward, like, in the direction that the wedge is heading. So in this case, the price action allegedly would continue up this way on increased volume. I haven't found that to be true, but what I do use this for is just an indication and maybe a sign of what's to come. It's all about trading. Profitable trading is all about this, taking in all these indicators and formulating an opinion on what's about to come. Let's hop into some charts and see it firsthand. I'm going to be breaking down natural gas here, and you'll kind of see the processes in which I do so. And I encourage you to practice breaking down your own stocks in a similar fashion. So we're going to start off with the 5-minute chart here and get out our drawing tools if you're using TD Thinkorswim. I'm going to start with, I'll start with this rectangle just to illustrate the zones that I'm talking about. I always start on a higher time frame. It gives you a better, much larger picture of what's about to happen. I'm going to go back probably, I'm going to go back to these, just the past day here. And look at this. Isn't this just beautiful? I see this zone, this sort of ceiling that it's been bouncing off of, and that's awesome. So I draw that on there. I'm going to look for anything on the bottom. I'm going to look for a floor that this price will be bouncing from. I'm just moving my cursor up and down, seeing if anything lines up. If not, then I don't really force it. If it's not readily visible, if the thing is, other traders are using this too. They're also putting these drawings on their chart. So you kind of want to put the drawings on your chart that other traders will be using. It's this, the stock market is seen as a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way. So I don't know, I'd probably go something like this. That's kind of cool. It bounced in between these zones, broke through, and is now testing that second zone I just drew there. So I'd break it down like that. Yeah, as you can see, super simple. If we go to the 1 minute now, you'll be able to see it a little better. Yeah. Is that making sense to you guys? Like the zones, the supply and demand. I think it helps to draw these boxes out. I'm gonna do a breakdown of this thing of natural gas today because I got my 1% daily goal out of it, and I think you can too if you really understand the behavior of it. So we're gonna get into that in the next video. Is not so much looking at strategies or chart patterns per se, but looking at the behavior of a particular asset and really getting to know how it moves. And when those moves do happen, you can accurately judge if it's out of the ordinary and where it's going to go next. So that's all for now. As always, may your evolution be the joy in all that you do.